Hey guys, Jacob Dupre here. Today I've got another exercise that's going to help you expand your chordal knowledge on the keyboard. This is really a two-part exercise. One part is static chord, the other is static bass. So the idea of that is one part, the chord stays the same and the bass moves, and then the next part is vice versa. So let's start with static chord. So you're going to pick any chord you want, but we'll start with something easy to understand, a triad. Here's an F major triad, F, A, and C. And then I'm going to play an F in the bass. So we have a nice F major chord. And I'm going to keep the F chord the same in my right hand, but I'm going to move the bass line by half steps, which literally just means the next black or white key up from that. The chromatic scale. And we're going to listen to the different chords that are created, because just a little bit about harmony, the bass is very important for establishing the sound of a chord, the quality of the chord. So we're going to experiment what happens when you keep the chord the same, move the bass, and then when you keep the bass the same, you move the chord. It's very cool. So let's do this and let's discover some sounds together. I'm going to use my metronome because it's always good to practice with a metronome when you can, because it keeps you honest, keeps your time honest, which is important. And let's go. So that's the basic idea. Now, as you could hear, some of those sounded very tense, right? Some of them sounded kind of pretty and more pleasant. That's the idea of consonance and dissonance. Dissonance being something that sounds tense and harsh usually, and consonance being something that sounds kind of pleasant and makes sense to us. So again, these kinds of exercises that I do and that I hope you do, no judgments, right? You're not worried about playing the right note. You're not worried about the wrong note. It's not about even whether it really sounds good or bad to you. You're discovering. And you'll find some things, like for instance, this. This could be something that I could use in something like a gospel thing, maybe. That's in there. A moment of tension and then release. It's part of how harmony works. So this exercise will help you discover some of those things for yourself. And you can do it with other kinds of chords. You can play octaves in the bass like I was doing. So let's say I take like a sus chord. So like F, B flat, E flat. And actually I'll add an A flat too, so now it's kind of like an F minor sus, F minor 11. And then I'll move the bass. Awesome. Now that's a really nice chord. Kind of like that would be like a B major 7 with a 13, sharp 11. So basically B major 13. It's a really nice voicing. And I discovered it and found it. I mean, obviously I already knew about that voicing, but I came upon it without meaning to, just by doing this exercise with the static chord. It's cool, right? And then if I keep going, there's another cool voicing. There's a great voicing for D flat major, like a 6-9 chord we'll call it. Here's the D flat major with the 6, or the 13, and the 9. Now let's take a look at the second part of the exercise, which is to keep the bass static and to move the chord. So we'll keep it simple like we had it before. We'll put an F in the bass, an octave, and that will stay the same. And then in the right hand, I'll have an F triad, which I'll have in this inversion with the C in the bottom. And then I'm just going to move that up in half steps up the keyboard. we go. With our metronome. And I moved a little faster just because I wanted to get through it. But obviously you can take as much time as you want. If you get to a certain triad or a certain voicing that you really like and it catches your ear, stop and play around with it. Like honestly, when I got to this one here, I liked that. You know, that's a really cool voicing. So this is like an A major triad here with an F in the bass. So it's giving you a major 7 sharp 5 sound. This would be your sharp 5. That's really cool. And that's what you'll discover when, especially when you're using triads with a static bass, you're going to essentially land on different chord sonorities, different types of chords, just by doing the exercise. So like here we just have F. Now we'll have G flat over F, which is a great chord, which has kind of a modal sound to it. If we keep going, now we have like G over F, which is kind of like a sharp 11 kind of sound. That being your raised fourth. Now we have F minor 7, A over F for F major 7 sharp 5, B flat over F, B over F, which is nice and crunchy one, C over F, D flat, so see, now I just discovered something. If we have an F triad here, and then we move the C, the fifth of the chord, up to D flat, that could be an intro to a song. So you can see, when you're doing this exercise, it opens up so many possibilities. You may, just by accident, find the next intro to your song, the next verse to your song, or just something that you get excited about working on that day. So please do it in your own practice. I encourage you to use it yourself. Always be creative when you practice. But also, if you have any questions about this, please feel free to comment them below. I like responding to you guys and interacting with you on your questions and helping you on your journey to being a better keyboard player. Thanks for watching.